Brr, it's cold here. There's nothing better to do on a cold day than make a pedal board, right? Let's do that. This is part two of the video. I just unboxed the Zong medium-sized pedal board, and well, Paige is going to make a pedal board with us, and I was impressed by the size of it. Not amazingly impressed by the build quality because there's a little bit of welds, but really for 35 bucks, it was great because I got a bunch of Velcro that seems to be the right size for the aluminum bars there. You get a whole bunch of patch cables, and then you get a bunch of zip ties and cable stay tie downs in order to kind of keep your cable management under control. So I wanted to just kind of put this board together and then talk about what some of the upgrade options would be. If you've been collecting a whole bunch of pedals, you can get about 8 to 10 of them on this board. And I'm going to take a little bit of time just kind of doing that and showing you guys what we end up with. And I'll talk about my approach to why I do this. Some of this might end up being in fast time footage as I just do some of the tedious stuff. We're going to start off with Velcro and a tuner. I decided I didn't want a clip-on tuner in this situation. I wanted to be able to just always have a tuner on the board. And I found one that was on sale at Guitar Center for like 35 bucks. So I figured I'd grab it, and glad I did. Okay, so let's put together a medium-sized pedal board. Maybe it's your first one. This is not my first one, but it'll be one that hopefully becomes my practice board if my bassist is kind enough to let me keep it there. Okay, let's get this set up. So the first thing we'll do is get the Velcro on the board. I like to put the carpet side on the board, and I like to cover the whole board instead of just putting little sections down where I think I'm going to have a pedal. I like to just go ahead and measure out about what I think I'm going to want and cut from there. And I try to cover all of these cross sections of the board, and I might even fill in those little spots. But I use the carpeted side. Just generally, that's just what I do, and I think a lot of people do. I don't think there's too many people that do it the other way, but I do know that people do it the other way and leave the actual tooth part on the board. I like the carpet here. It just tends to not grab as much dirt and stuff. And then on all the pedals, I end up putting the loop part. So I'll get this done up real quick. Oh, it's always fun to just make a board, you know, just to do it. Here's a piece of wood that I have that I put some chrome trim around, and it's got the Boss EV wireless on it and a Pocket GT and the switchers, and it's completely wireless. It's got stereo output and wireless guitar input, and that's just fun. That's a good time to kick around with. I use that for quick practice time here at the house when I don't want to really turn everything on and have all my amps on and everything like that and go through that whole process. I just want to turn on one or two quick things and get a good guitar sound, and maybe even use headphones or run it through the speakers here that I use. So I'm going to lay all that down nice and sturdy. And a lot of times this kind of Velcro, that adhesive is just not great. This seems to be staying down pretty well. It has no brand name on it, but so far it's staying down pretty well. So I'm going to cut a couple of little squares out of what I have left to fill those holes in. I could have gone like that and then cut these inside pieces. That's probably what I should have done. I should have done that. Yep, I should have done that and cut these inside pieces shorter and then had these longer. But oh well, no biggie, no loss. I'll just cut a couple. There we go. I haven't done a pedal train in a while, and so this pedal train style board, kind of fun to have. I had a pedal train, it was massive, and I made myself a board where the lid is the cover, the whole board is kind of a case, and I really like it. It's my ES8 switcher board, and I use it all at every gig now. I take it everywhere, I'd like to not have to take it to practice, because the whole board itself is just big. It's just a process. I probably would cut these pieces, cut everything longer, just cut long pieces to go here, and then some shorter pieces to go here on the inside. That's what I would have done if I weren't me. But now this way I can pull off that blue tape and the Velcro comes with it, but it's also still secured to the pedal and will help it stay where I want it to. So there we go. I'm not going to put that on there yet because I don't know where it's going to go. So I tend, when I first start doing this, to also, if I don't know where I'm going to go, I'll use this blue tape so that I don't have to keep pulling the pedal off of the Velcro over and over again while I'm first populating the board. I'll do this. You know, you see some people lay cardboard down on their board or do whatever they need to do, but you can kind of do this to help you get it laid out and figure out what you want, and then get your pedals down on there. So I'm going to pretty much only use the boost option on my Super Fuzz, and I'm going to use it after gain, which is going to give me a volume boost. It's not going to increase my gain any. It's going to be strictly for solo level volume boosting. And I like to run that after my distortions, but a lot of times I'll run it before the delays and choruses and stuff, and it just kind of hits the front end of those a little bit more, you know, makes them a little more reactive when I'm leading and then pulls them back when I'm not. If I were using this pedal, I'd probably set this to be overdrive, and then I could set this heavy metal pedal here and go into here and have my clean sound on the amp, or have this to be a mild drive and this to be a real heavy drive. Probably still back it down because it's just too much. You got to do the same thing with this. This tube modeler actually has a lot of options. So for a mini board like this, that might be a better way to go. Have something with a whole bunch of options and stuff. I already have Velcro on this one, so for right now we're going to do that. But this Behringer TM300, I'll do a video up on that if you guys want to see it. But it has all sorts of different, a couple of different amp models, 3 different mic placements, and then modern sounds or kind of classic sounds that come out of it. So maybe I would do this. Maybe I would go here. With these, a lot of these rubber things, the Velcro just doesn't stick. These rubber bottom things, this is such a cheap pedal. This tuner, I'm going to pull this off. I really don't care about keeping it in good condition. And the stuff they give you with that pedal does not stick to that rubber part, but it seems to stick okay to here. That's going to drive my OCD crazy. I put that Velcro on there wrong. So let's see, I can hit this. This is a decent little Marshall-y sounding pedal. And then it could hit that a little bit harder. I set that to be pretty low gain. This could be like medium gain. So as far as these cables that came with the board, we'll see how they fit, you know, but some of these I'm going to need a little bit of the least amount of space I can get. So these are the Ernie Ball in my bag of upgrades that I have here. One of the things I grabbed was a $20 set of 3 of these. And then a little while later, when I was kicking around at the store, I grabbed another one of these because they are very small. They really seem to get in here and do a good job. Yeah, look at that. That's really good. I like that. What they give you works pretty well, even with these Behringer pedals that don't line up. Those ends aren't very big at all. They're very small compared to some of the captive ones I've seen. But again, once that part of the cable goes bad, which can happen in time, you know, they're just kind of a cheaper cable. You really can't fix it. So I like making my own. You can buy cheap ones like this that are already made with switchcraft style. I've made several like this where you just solder the leads together. It's such a simple thing to make your own cables. But these kind of right angle ones on a board like this with these Behringer ones, they take up a lot of space. They're just big and bulky. So that's part of the upgrades. These George L's are okay. They're not amazing because I've had to redo those more often than I've had to redo any other solderless cable. The Boss solderless cable really works for me. I've heard there's a couple of other brands, I can't remember them right now, that do solderless cabling that get highly recommended. So I have no problem with the solderless stuff as long as you put it together right, and as long as it stays together, then I have no problem with it. I have no issues. But the George L stuff just kind of sometimes really is you got to really work with it. Whereas the couple of the other ones that I've tried, like Boss, once you get it together and do a test, then the cable almost always works and stays really reliable. So that fits really well. And then so what you have to consider too is how you're going to power these. And what I'm going to end up using is Visual Sound One Spot will power several pedals up to 1700 milliamps. That's the key, is finding out the draw or the milliamps of your pedals and then determining what kind of a pedal board power supply you would want. This kind of board isn't very big, so if you were going to put something underneath of it, you'd really have a hard time. You'd have to add bigger feet, or you could put it on the board and then put some pedals on top of it. But some of those power supplies will create a lot of noise when they have pedals on top of it. They'll generate a lot of noise into those pedals. So I try not to put pedals on top of power supplies best I can, just as a general rule. You have to kind of account for where your power is going to go, you know, like where it's going to fit. And with this Behringer pedal, let's see, the power, that right angle power is going to sit, yeah, right about there. That actually, that creates more of a gap than the actual cables do. I can get the pedals together closer without that power in there. So that's something you always have to consider. And then good thing is you can tuck that underneath there in between these cross sections. Your cabling can all run under there. So I'll do that as one of the kind of closer to the end steps once we get everything kind of in place. Okay, let me just stop talking and put this thing together. This is an actual pedal train 3-pedal lift. So I can now take this, I bet, and put all this on here. And hopefully it should all fit. And all that will this pedal train riser. Yeah, an actual pedal train riser will fit on in between those beams. So that's cool. I can now have more access to these pedals up top. Made them a little more accessible for my foot to clear the pedals in front. and I'm glad that that fits on there. So that's a good thing to know. So now I can easily have a better angle, and that's a great little upgrade, and I think that's about 30 bucks or so, 20 bucks. They have single risers as well. So the next step is going to be powering this up and making sure that I get all of the power in the proper places for everything. This one is going to be simple. Like I said, powering it up, I'm going to use just one visual sound, one spot, and it'll be enough to power up this whole board, and I'll have the power end of it sitting here somewhere. We'll see, but I have that, and then it's basically going to feed their daisy chain, one of their daisy chains, and this is an 8-out daisy chain, so I'm going to have to add a Y to it here. I have a Boss Y, and it has these different ends. So I have some right-angled ends, and then I have a couple of bigger ones, so I'm going to have to save the bigger ones for like there and here probably, or something like that, or one of the bigger ones for there. So I'm going to now spend a little time and get all the wiring done, and then after that I'll be able to secure all the wiring under the board with the cable management system that they sent along in the kit. So that's cool. Alright, let's get some power on this thing. And I don't have to power these up in the same order that the signal is flowing through them. In other words, this is my first item being powered up, and it's actually like the 5th item in the chain. So the power isn't gonna necessarily make too much of a difference. But one thing to think about is if you are using loops in your amps, if you're using an amp with a loop, sometimes you will create a ground noise by using something like just a single one-spot plug with a daisy chain. But the one spot's surprisingly good at dealing with that kind of stuff. It's just one of the better power supplies out there, I think, in terms of affordability for what you get. It's got a good noise floor. I feel like it doesn't really, unless you're really pushing stuff, it doesn't do a bad job of dealing with the noise of some setups. have one more double jumper here, so it's a dually. I'll put it on the last male end that I have here. Tuck it back under. This will definitely require some more cable maintenance now, because I'm going to have a whole bunch of extra cable underneath here. So now I have it all wired up. What I need to do is tighten up the cables underneath of it and then plug this thing in and make sure I got sound out of everything. So there's the completed board. Not bad looking for a medium-sized pedal board. Hopefully this will work out for me. And hopefully this gives you some ideas of how to set one up quickly for yourself. That was an inexpensive board that I found. I'll make sure that I have the link in the description for the board. And now the fun thing is I can swap different pedals in and out of their positions. I can upgrade pedals as I see fit. And I can try out different ones in place of other ones and just kind of have something that's a little, in my world, a little less than what I'm used to, and is going to kind of give me some focus when I'm practicing with the band, so that I really just have to deal with the settings that I have, as opposed to my big old rig that I take out everywhere that has, you know, a lot of different sounds and options. I've tweaked that to where I like it, but it's big. I don't like to take it to the practice spot because I have to lug everything around. I damage walls. I do all that kind of stuff. So sorry, Steve. But yeah, here's a medium-sized pedal board with 9 pedals on it that I could probably actually do 10 pedals on and power up with this other jumper that I have. I'm going to get a pillow and pop this board down on it. I'm going to kind of clean up my workspace here a little bit. And I'm going to tighten up the cables underneath it with the cable management system that they sent along with all the wire ties and cable tie downs. So yeah, I'm going to do that next. In part 3 of this video series, we're going to look at the final board, because this definitely isn't it. I came up with more pedals, different pedals, and we'll talk about the order and hear some more of the sounds and hear it through the actual amp that I'm going to be taking to practice. So thanks for watching. If this is your kind of thing, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell so you know when the next video comes up. I appreciate you being here at Double D Guitar. All my best. Take care.